Hey, Liam. It's great to see you again. You know, I've always been curious about something.
Hi, Emma. It's great to see you too. Now you've got me curious, though. What's on your mind today?
I've always wondered what it's like to live in Texas. Are expressions like howdy, y'all, and bless your heart just movie stereotypes? Or do Texans really speak like that?
That's a fantastic question, because they absolutely do. Texas has its own unique culture, rich traditions, and distinctive way of speaking.
I can completely understand how challenging that could be. Imagine studying English for years, finally visiting Texas, and then suddenly hearing expressions you've never seen in a textbook before. It's crazy, right?
It certainly is, especially because the real challenge isn't just knowing the words, it's understanding how local people naturally interact during everyday conversations.
So today's lesson isn't really about learning difficult, dry vocabulary.
Exactly. Think of it as a Texas survival guide. We're going to look at common real-world situations you'll probably experience if you ever live there, what people are likely to say, what they actually mean, and how you can answer them without feeling nervous.
I love that idea because it sounds much more practical than just memorizing random expressions that I might never use.
That's exactly our goal. You'll learn the most common Texas expressions and the culture behind them. Plus, stay until the end because we'll reveal one famous phrase that sounds polite but has two completely different meanings.
Oh, now you've made me really curious.
Good. That's exactly where we'll finish today's guide.
Well, let's begin with something simple. If I moved to Texas tomorrow, what's probably the very first expression I'd hear?
Without a doubt, howdy.
I have to ask because I've always wondered, do people really say that in everyday life, or is it rare?
They certainly do. Maybe not every single person, especially in the modern parts of the biggest cities, but it's still an incredibly common greeting. In many suburban areas and smaller towns, hearing howdy is completely normal.
That's funny because I always thought people only said it in classic cowboy movies.
A lot of learners believe that. Hollywood definitely helped make the expression famous worldwide, but Texans have continued using it because it feels warm, friendly, and welcoming.
I like that. It already sounds much friendlier than a formal textbook greeting.
That's one of the first things you'll notice about Texas, Emma. Conversations almost always begin with genuine friendliness before anything else. People aren't worried about sounding overly impressive, they simply want to make others feel comfortable around them.
So, if someone walks up to me and says, "Howdy," what should I say back?
Before I answer, let's make this our very first challenge for everyone watching. Pause the video for a moment and choose the response that you think sounds the most natural. How do you do? Howdy, or simply hi. Take a few seconds, make your choice, and then come right back.
Thinking about everything you've said so far about the culture, I'd probably just choose howdy.
That's exactly right, Emma. A simple howdy or a friendly hi is all you need. There's no complicated rule here. The greeting is warm, so your response should be warm too.
That's much easier than I expected. I was honestly imagining I'd need to learn some secret Texas handshake or a special greeting.
Not at all. One thing you'll notice throughout today's lesson is that Texans usually appreciate friendliness and kindness much more than flawless textbook English.
That's actually very reassuring, because I think many learners worry way too much about making small mistakes.
They do, and that worry often makes everyday conversations much harder than they need to be. When you're relaxed, your English naturally sounds much more fluid.
So, surviving in Texas isn't about pretending to be a cowboy or a Texan yourself.
Exactly. It's simply about understanding Texans. Once you understand the mindset behind why people speak the way they do, everything becomes much easier to follow.
I have a feeling that's going to be the biggest takeaway from today's guide.
I think you're right, because every single situation we'll talk about today has much more to do with human connection than with dry grammar rules.
Okay, let's imagine I've just finished unpacking my things and I decide to go have breakfast at a local diner. What's one expression I'm almost guaranteed to hear?
The server will probably walk over to your table with a smile and ask, "How are y'all doing?"
Now, I obviously know the word you, but I still don't completely understand y'all. What does it actually mean?
It is simply a shorter, combined way of saying you all. It's probably the most famous Texas expression in history, and you'll hear it in restaurants, grocery stores, schools, and pretty much everywhere else.
So if I'm having breakfast with 2 or 3 friends, I could naturally look at them and ask, "Are y'all ready?"
Perfect. That's exactly how native Texans would say it.
That's so interesting, because I always thought English learners were supposed to avoid saying y'all. I just assumed it sounded way too informal or uneducated.
Many learners believe that stereotype, but in Texas, it is completely normal. Children use it, teachers use it, grandparents use it, and professionals use it in business meetings. It's simply an integrated part of everyday life.
I never realized one small shortened word could be such an important part of the local culture.
That's because language and culture are always closely connected. Sometimes a single word tells you a lot about the hospitality of the people who use it.
I'm also noticing something else. These regional expressions aren't actually difficult to understand once someone breaks them down for you, right?
That's so true. The biggest obstacle for learners usually isn't complexity, it's just unfamiliarity. The very first time you hear an expression, it feels strange. But after hearing it a few times in real contexts, it becomes completely normal.
That actually gives me a lot of confidence, because it means I don't have to stress about learning hundreds of obscure new expressions overnight.
Exactly. Real progress comes from hearing highly useful expressions again and again in different everyday situations.
So, learning isn't only about studying isolated vocabulary. It's also about recognizing patterns.
That is one of the most important breakthroughs in language learning. Native speakers repeat the exact same expressions much more often than learners realize.
That makes sense. What other things do people normally say in Texas, Liam?
Well, imagine you're standing in line for a coffee, and the person next to you smiles and says, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" They're not asking you because they need a weather forecast. They're simply inviting you into a friendly, brief conversation.
I think that's exactly where many English learners become incredibly nervous. They immediately start panicking and thinking, "Oh no, I have to speak perfect English now."
Yes, and that's usually the biggest mistake. They treat a casual chat like a school exam, when it's really just a friendly, low-stress moment between two people.
So I don't need to prepare a long, complex answer?
Not at all. In fact, shorter, simpler answers usually sound much more natural.
So if someone says, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" I could just answer, "It really is. Are you enjoying it?"
That's a fantastic answer. It's warm, completely natural, and it keeps the conversation moving forward without making it complicated.
You know, I actually like small talk much more now that I understand its true purpose.
That's because you stopped worrying about grammar rules and started focusing on the actual people. I have another question, though. Does this friendly small talk only happen in small towns? Not necessarily. While it's definitely more common in smaller, tight-knit communities, you'll find friendly conversations almost anywhere you go in Texas. The main difference is that people there generally don't find it strange at all to randomly greet a stranger or make a quick, pleasant comment.
Speaking of food, everyone always talks about Texas barbecue. If someone invited me to a backyard cookout, what should I expect?
First of all, expect people to make you feel welcome almost immediately. Texans are usually thrilled to introduce you to everyone, and they definitely don't expect you to know all the local expressions.
That's so good to know, because I'd probably be secretly worried about saying the wrong thing.
Here's the interesting part. Most Texans care much more about your attitude than your English. If you're friendly, smile, and show genuine interest in the conversation, people are usually incredibly patient.
I think that's so encouraging for anyone learning English. Sometimes we imagine native speakers judging every single mistake we make.
That's much more common in our imagination than in real life. Most people truly appreciate the fact that you're making an effort to communicate in a second language.
So, confidence isn't about speaking perfectly. It's simply about being willing to join the conversation.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest differences between classroom English and real-life English. Real conversations aren't high-stakes performances. They're simply people connecting with each other.
I love that idea. Let me ask you something else, though. What if I don't understand part of what someone says? Should I just smile and pretend I understood?
That's a great question. And the answer is definitely no. Native speakers ask each other to repeat things all the time. If you miss something, it's completely okay to ask politely.
What's a natural way to ask someone to repeat something?
You can simply say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that."
Perfect. So, recapping so far, Texans say howdy, use y'all, and love small talk. What's next?
Next is a place everyone goes every week, the grocery store.
What happens when I walk into a grocery store in Texas?
It's a prime place to practice English. Cashiers and employees might start talking to you out of nowhere.
Really? I thought grocery shopping would be quiet and simple.
Most learners do, until they realize the cashier isn't just scanning items in silence. They're starting a friendly conversation.
What kind of things might they say?
Imagine you're paying for your items, and the cashier smiles and asks, "How are y'all doing today?"
I like this one because I finally know the answer. They're talking to me and whoever is shopping with me, right?
Exactly. A few minutes ago, that expression might have sounded a bit confusing. Now, your brain immediately recognizes the pattern.
That actually feels really good. So if I'm shopping with my family, I could simply answer, "We're doing great. How about you?"
That's a perfect response. It's warm, natural, and keeps the friendly interaction moving.
What if I'm shopping alone? Would someone still say y'all?
Usually, no. If you're by yourself, you'll hear, "How are you today?" But the second you're with another person, it becomes y'all.
Much easier than I expected. Now, Liam, what is that famous Texas expression you've been teasing since the beginning that so many visitors misunderstand?
Without a doubt, bless your heart. It's famous, but easily misunderstood if you only translate the individual words.
Honestly, if someone said that to me, I'd think they were being incredibly sweet.
Sometimes they are. But in another context, it can be a very polite, subtle way of teasing someone or saying they're clueless.
Wait, so the exact same expression can mean two completely different things depending on the context?
Exactly. That's why understanding the situation and tone is much more important than just translating the words.
I think this calls for our final challenge of the day.
Yes. Everyone watching, pause the video right now. Imagine someone says, "I locked myself out for the second time this week," and their Texan friend replies, "Oh, bless your heart." What do they really mean?
Based on your explanation, I'd say they're gently teasing their friend for being clumsy. Am I right?
Spot on. They're definitely teasing them with a bit of good-natured humor, which is very common in Texas culture.
That's fascinating. Yesterday, I would have taken it literally and completely misunderstood the vibe.
Almost every learner does. That's why culture plays such a massive role. Words only tell part of the story, the context tells the rest.
So we shouldn't just listen to the words. We also need to pay close attention to the tone of voice and what's happening around us.
Exactly. Native speakers naturally process all of those visual and tonal cues without even thinking about it. The more real, everyday conversations you expose yourself to, the more naturally your brain will start doing the exact same thing.
Earlier, you promised one final survival tip that every future Texan should remember. I've been looking forward to this all lesson, Liam. What is it?
Here is my golden advice. Don't spend your first week trying to sound like a Texan. Instead, spend your first week simply listening to Texans. Pay close attention to the expressions they repeat, notice how they greet people, and observe how relaxed their conversations feel.
That sounds so much easier than memorizing words. I feel like I learned how Texans actually communicate on a deeper level.
That's exactly what we hoped for. Before we finish, if you moved to Texas tomorrow, what would you want to experience first? Tell us in the comments.
And remember, today we explored Texas. But imagine this. You've settled in, made friends, and understand howdy and y'all. Then summer arrives. Will you be ready for those fast summer conversations?
Exactly. If today's guide helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. Because next, we're diving into a real American summer day, from car rides to beach bonfires.
It's the perfect next step. Click right here on the screen to jump into our summer adventure right now.
Thanks for watching.
Keep learning,
Keep speaking.
and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Bye.